it's not like it's not hearing you. So anyway, I was just toying with that setting, hoping that would. Wow. And then Josh is just loud all the time. So.
It's kind of racist, but okay.
Why is that? What?
That's pretty racist. Whoa. The loud Latino, I don't know. It's just a little weird. All right, well, welcome back to the podcast. We had a little bit of a little holiday break. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to roll out these next few episodes, but this one seems like it might be a one-off because we don't have anything prepped after this. But anyway, Reese is back. Hi, Reese.
Hello. It's great to be here in a new environment.
Yes.
From last time.
Yes.
Which is no offense to that office. The curtains were giving very like...
Like, what are these curtains?
Yeah, they were just, the cup, the Dixie cups.
Yes.
The red ones?
No, the like colorful, like
the Dixie
like
cup
coffee
is
cups.
like white.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
It was giving that on a curtain, like that kind of design, that kind of like 80s
But that was
dentist
your
office.
Curtain. That was your curtain for
that was my
season
curtain.
one.
That was my curtain.
No, not the blue one. No, we're not talking about the blue one at all.
okay.
We're talking about the one that was a part of the office, but it was always his background. Like it was always behind his shot in season one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you get that vibe.
Yeah.
So you're happy to not have that.
Yeah, this is an upgrade. I think.
We've added a TV just for this episode.
Yes.
Which honestly, okay, if we could, we should just put like Park City background
that would
on
be
the
fun.
TV.
Yeah.
Dang. All right.
Yeah.
Me looking to my...
We're talking about Sundance.
Me and Reese both went to Sundance. Very fun, and we just kind of want to talk about our trip. And what we saw.
It was an experience for sure.
Yeah, so do you want to start off with that?
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't feel like it was necessarily a lack of planning because I felt like we did a good amount of research. We've had friends who have gone to Sundance a lot.
Yeah.
And one, Utah is so expensive when Sundance is happening because I've been to Park City once before, got an Airbnb when I was there. It was not that expensive. Everything was crazy expensive, but we did anyway, why not? And for Sundance, you can buy ticket packages.
Yes.
Or you can buy individual tickets. A lot of ticket packages are like you're buying a pack of 10 tickets, I think is the smallest amount.
Yeah.
Also. So that's kind of also why I guess maybe we didn't pull the trigger on those because we were only there for 2 full days of the festival, basically.
Yeah. And we ended up seeing 5 things, like 5 screenings. So I guess if we split them, it would have been fine. But they were still like big ticket packages. Yeah, it was. And yeah, if I was staying longer, I definitely would have. Yeah.
But what we didn't realize is that when you buy ticket packages, they go on sale quite a while before regular tickets do.
Yeah.
And you actually get to purchase movie tickets and reserve tickets for movies before anyone who gets an individual ticket can.
Yeah.
So by the time that we were buying our tickets...
That we could even buy our tickets.
Yeah, most things were sold out.
That we wanted to see.
The time that we were there.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, can we see this? No. Oh, can we see this?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, so much
and
of
then
that.
it was one of those moments where on the morning of at like 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. when the tickets went on sale, we're both on like trying to refresh the page. And like, luckily you were able to get tickets because
for some reason,
my when I was on the computer and my phone, I was trying and the page was just loading the whole time. I could not get in to get tickets.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank God you were able to.
Yeah.
And we had like backups of things we'd want to see if we couldn't get the movies we wanted. So we still ended up, we got tickets for 3 like full length films and then 2 short film programs.
Yeah.
1 live action, 1 animated. And I didn't realize how many short films they have at the festival.
There were like 6 or 7 short film programs. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And which is cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know the last time I've seen a short film, honestly. So I was kind of excited for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But going in, I'm like, okay, so the things that I looked through and was like, I have to see this. Like, I really want to see this. We are not seeing any of those. Yeah. So hopefully this goes well. So for a moment, we were thinking of like could we try canceling a trip and refund where we were staying?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh no, we missed the timeline to cancel.
Yeah.
And I even for a moment was like, I wonder if we could pull the fires analogy.
Yeah.
Like, could there be an
exception? You did say that on the phone, yeah.
But I was like, that seems
disingenuous.
like it would be a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
We ended up going.
Yeah, we went.
Yes.
And it ended up being so much better than I was expecting it to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very fun. And it was also like, especially the first day was like really chill, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like we had a screening at noon and then we had a screening at 9 p.m. And then between that, we just like walked around and like went to coffee shops and stuff like that, which was really cool.
Yeah, it was great because I also brought a book with me that I've been like obsessed with the past week or two.
Yeah.
And I got to finish it in between movies. So
like,
it was good.
Like online for like different movies, just like with his book out. And like, I'm like, you know,
it was great.
Like just in the theater, like with his book out. And he blew through that book.
Which seems like, I don't know why I never discovered before how much of a hack it is to have a book while you're waiting in line for things, because I was like, oh, I could do this all day. Like,
you seem very content.
It was really entertaining. It felt way better than just like looking for something on an algorithm of an app to like keep me entertained. But yeah.
Well, that was literally, we were at a restaurant and like we had like time to kill in between screenings. And so we were literally just like sitting there and like we had finished our food like kind of a while before.
Yeah.
And you were just like reading your book and I was just like watching The Bear like on my phone.
Yeah. And you felt bad about it because you're like, oh, we're done eating.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if we can stay here this long. Or if but we were literally, when we got there, the only people in the restaurant.
And like
I was like,
I
don't think they're in a hurry to get our seats to somebody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first day we drove to Park City from Los Angeles.
10, 11 hours.
What the heck? Did not realize that was
you
the
didn't
plan.
know we drove.
Oh,
yeah.
No. That's why I'm like, oh, this is okay, cool. That's a big add to this trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's also, and my car was in the shop. I got it back the day before at like 5 p.m. when the shop was closing.
Yeah.
So thank God for the timing on that.
Yeah.
And my car only had AC, didn't have heat, and we were going to Park City in January.
Oh my
But
gosh.
the problem with my car that it was in the shop for, them fixing that also fixed the heat.
Okay.
Which is just
Again,
like incredible timing.
Yeah.
Sure.
But and it's one of those things, I don't know enough about cars. I took it in, they're like, oh yeah, this is what you need replaced and you should do this thing. And I'm like, okay, like never heard of that, but yeah, do that.
Yeah, please.
And then it also fixed the heat. So we drove 10 hours. Beautiful.
Yes.
America's beautiful. Whoever wrote America the Beautiful, they
were on the money.
They did that. Yeah. The only downer being Las Vegas. I don't understand it. Hate the place.
You were mad while we were driving through it.
I'm mad. Yeah. Like
We're talking about Sundance, but you're taking a detour to talk about
no,
Las
because
Vegas.
I just feel like it's an important part of the whole drive is so beautiful, especially when you get to Utah.
Yeah.
And it being winter, mountains covered in snow, so beautiful. Las Vegas is in the middle of the nowhere. It's flat. There's no grass anywhere.
Yeah.
They don't have grass.
I didn't see any grass anywhere.
Yeah, no. Yeah. It's just a city, and it doesn't even look like there's suburbs of Las Vegas because it's Las Vegas and then nothing for miles around you. But Park City, beautiful place.
Yes. And Salt Lake, which we actually ended up watching the majority of our screenings in Salt Lake City.
Yeah. Yeah, the Park City screenings are definitely the ones at Sundance to sell out fastest.
Which is why we didn't see a lot.
Yeah. That's also, I think, where a lot of the premieres are too.
Yeah.
And more of the celebrities.
So, yeah.
Which is...
I was talking to a woman at our hostel that we were staying at that, like, they were saying a bunch of people, like, J-Lo was out there and, like, Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah. Even I saw like a video of like Conan O'Brien was at one of the screenings, like doing a Q&A, and we missed all of that. We saw like the guy from Saltburn, which you pointed out, and I was like, I don't.
Yeah. Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
He was the lead. He was in Saltburn.
That guy.
Yeah. He was starring in one of the Sundance movies, and I just saw him outside a movie theater.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
That's the guy. And I was just like, I was like, I mean, I don't know.
I feel bad that I don't know his name. Michael's.
No, you didn't even tell me his name. Yeah.
Archie. Wait, is that the character's name? No. Archie Madekwe?
I'm not sure.
That's an attempt.
We saw him outside of a canon event or something like that.
But
shout out to Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I mean there were a ton of people there though. Io Debris, obviously. A lot of the
Was she there?
Yeah.
That makes me mad.
Somebody
I didn't see her.
Wow.
I saw a Letterboxd review for a movie because I didn't realize Alex Wolff was in a movie that was there. He was in Magic Farm.
He's kind of a regular at Sundance, I think.
Is
he? He makes his way.
Because Hereditary was at Sundance, wasn't it?
Right, but I feel like every time I see him, the only place I see him is Sundance Q&As. Like he's in these indie movies.
But somebody in their review for Letterboxd was like, had breakfast with Alex Wolff randomly before the movie. Like it just
that'll affect your review.
Spontaneously, he was we're at the same breakfast spot and they just ate together or something. Wow. I don't know. But I was like, oh, Alex Wolff was here. We didn't really, we didn't see people.
We didn't see much.
We were mostly in Salt Lake City though, to be fair.
Yeah.
And when we did walk through Park City, Main Street.
Yeah.
And honestly felt a little bit emptier than I was expecting.
Me too. I thought it was going to be like so bustling with people. And like there were a lot of people there, but like, I don't know. It was just kind of it was a different vibe than I expected. It was cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But our first day of watching movies was Sunday and we were in Salt Lake City pretty much the whole day. Yeah. We got ready. We went to Salt Lake.
Yeah.
That was where both of our screenings were.
Yes.
And the first movie that we saw was Andre is an Idiot.
Which I had brought up. But yeah, it's this documentary. A24 financed it. And it's essentially like about this real guy. I forget what his last name, Andre. But like he basically, he made a movie about he got cancer. I'm trying to remember what kind of cancer it was.
It was colon cancer.
Colon cancer. And like essentially the title is like, he feels like he's an idiot because he didn't get a colonoscopy like when he was supposed to, and now he has like stage 4 colon cancer. And it was like he's a very like funny guy. So like the movie was naturally like very funny from that. And then like it did explore obviously themes of death.
Yeah.
Later.
As funny as you can be about your terminal illness, which is apparently very funny.
Yeah, literally the entire movie.
He just made a joke about everything.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really interesting. I don't know if either of you have mentioned to this before, but like death is not one of those things that I think about often, if at all. And
kind of same.
Is it Mythical Kitchen that does the like
the last meals thing?
Yeah. I watched those, and a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, I think about death all the time."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh wow," but I don't think about it much, and I thought the movie had just interesting perspectives about what having a terminal illness is like and confronting death and knowing that it's going to come for you. Like, obviously having hope that, he did a lot of treatment and he ended up living for 2 or 3 years after his diagnosis, which it seems like a pretty good amount of time considering the circumstances. But yeah, I think it had a lot to say about kind of the mundanity of dying a little bit. And I felt like it was really interesting to me that a lot of what he did in his time as he was dying was very like, you're still living kind of your normal life in a way.
That's what he said. Yeah. He was like, I didn't know how like boring dying would be. Like he was like,
he's still emptying the dishwasher every morning, still doing and it seemed like, I feel like I've heard stories about people having a limited amount of time left, and so they go travel the world and they do all the things that they didn't do.
Yeah.
And his story, which I feel like is probably much closer to reality for most people who are kind of confronting the finitude towards the end, is like he's doing what he was already doing with his life and the things
what he wanted
that he ends up seeing really matter to him in terms of how to spend his last time was being with his family and his daughters and spending time with his best friends and doing fun things and being funny and doing crazy stuff for him,
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably what's true for most people who don't have the money or the ability to do things, but also who just are part of a family and realize if I'm dying, it's not about, oh, all these grand things that I regret I haven't done, but it's like seeing, I think you're able to appreciate more, which I saw from him, just what's in front of you and how great it is that you have people in your life who love you and you want to be with,
Yeah. Yeah. That is interesting because like one criticism I would have of the movie is it kind of meandered a little bit towards the end. Like, and part of that was a function of like he got more sick, and so like a lot of the scenes were just like set on the couch or like in bed or whatever. But I think part of that might have just been a function of like he didn't want to travel. He didn't really want to. There's like one scene where he ends up going to like on a U.S. road trip. But like a lot of it is just kind of like at home and doctor's appointments and stuff like that.
And I loved it. I thought I was very moved towards the end by. He includes some conversations with his therapist in the movie that I thought were really moving.
Yeah.
And overall, it was hilarious. I was laughing throughout the movie, and I cried towards the end. I thought it was beautiful. It was great. So that already set my expectations like, oh, wow, maybe the 10-hour drive and like thinking I wasn't going to see things I was interested in. Like, this is better than I could have thought it was going to be. It was a really quality movie.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that made it so special was that it was made by all of his best friends.
So at the end came out the director and the executive producer, which the executive producer is like his best friend and he's in the movie. Yeah. Like he has scenes with him. And then his wife, they showed his wife. She was in the audience, which was like, I told Reese, it was like surreal. And he was like, I kind of don't understand why, but like, it was just like weird to see her like in the movie. And then you literally see her and you're like in real life and you're like, oh, this happened to this person and she lost this person like at the end. It was bizarre to me.
Whereas I was just like, yeah, it's a documentary. Like these are,
this really happened.
It's a real person.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Josh, is that phenomenon you like seeing how like the vulnerability on screen and then having the person be there? You're like, oh snap! Like I have a very intimate understanding of your experience.
Yeah, like I mean, it's also kind of one of those things where if you see a famous person in real life, you're like, oh, you're like a physical person, like, and like, you're not, on a screen or whatever, you're just there. I think it was that, but it was also like you had to be so vulnerable and you had such a vulnerable and terrible thing happen to you. And all of us witnessed that together. And now you're here and you like, and they had like, she like stood up and everyone like clapped for her and stuff like that. So it is that interesting, like maybe that she had to keep it together. I don't really know, but it was fascinating to kind of like see her in person. Yeah.
Yeah. But overall, great first movie of Sundance. Mm-hmm. That already for me got me hyped up. Is like, and I don't know why I'm surprised to see like real quality at the festival because obviously the past couple years, some of my favorite movies have come from that.
Yeah, Past Lives,
Cha-Cha Real Smooth. But yeah, it was really great.
Yeah.
After that, we just walked around.
Not to just because it's a new thing on the show. How A24 is it? This is an A24 documentary, granted, which is a different vibe.
I will say, I was like, this makes sense for A24.
It does, so it's very personal.
And it is very creative, too. Just the subject of the documentary.
Yeah.
Like, at first, I was like, this is just a regular guy that we're watching die, I guess. But he's a character. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. At the very beginning, they have a joke about he bought Kim Kardashian's pants. Like, just so
or
he
like
could
he
have
won
his
them
pants.
at some kind of, I don't know.
It was an auction, I think.
I feel like he was talking about auctioning it, or I don't remember how he got them.
Anyway, he had Kim Kardashian's pants. Yeah. And that was that signal to me, like, yep, this is going to be entertaining. This is going to be a ride. Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, our next showing wasn't until 9 p.m. That was at noon.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of time.
Long time.
It was a very,
even to read a book. That's a long time.
Well, listen, this book, I was engrossed. Okay,
it's more of a book.
I was reading Six of Crows.
Than anything.
Did you ever watch Shadow and Bone or read Shadow and Bone? Or do you know what Shadow and Bone is?
I've heard of it, and I'm trying to place why I know it. But
it's like a Netflix. It's a big fantasy series. Yeah. They had a show on Netflix adapted from the book, but Six of Crows is kind of like a spin-off book of the series that I wanted to read because I watched the show and they integrated that story into the show and I was like, oh, that's the part that I love. So I wanted to read those characters. Incredible. And when we were at the festival, I was at the climax of the book, basically. So I was like, I need to read this.
Yeah.
Luckily, we had time. So
yeah.
We did walk around, though, Park City for a while. We went to a coffee shop.
Well, Salt Lake, yeah.
Yes, Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Coffee shop, I was walking around. I was reading there. Then we went to Subway.
Shouts to Subway. I got a large, like, my parents gave me $75 in gift cards at Subway. So I ate a lot of Subway on the trip. Yeah.
And we just sat in Subway for a while and I was reading. And then we were kind of looking for more places to read. One thing that's interesting about Utah is a lot of things were closed on Sunday.
Yeah.
Which is very rare in LA. I mean, that's not a thing here.
No, it's not. Yeah.
I think it felt a little bit like a relic of an older time in the US where there was kind of a community Sabbath day where a lot of things were closed and a lot of people all had leisure time together.
Except for Chick-fil-A.
Just like, which is like, this is a very Mormon area, so that makes sense.
Yeah. We literally went to a mall and we're like, how do we get in? Oh, there's no one here.
Yeah, the mall's just closed today, which is like a mind-blowing thing to think about here. Yeah. But I know we kept walking around looking for somewhere where we could kill time until 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
We went thrifting.
We did.
I got the shirt.
This shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
You wore this shirt.
And then we went to I'm vegan, so I was like, Subway is not going to do a lot for me. Mm-hmm. So we went to a vegan restaurant for dinner. That's where I did more reading. And then we went to the theater to watch Bubble and Squeak.
Which you didn't like as much.
Yeah. No, not really. I did get to finish my book in line though, which was great. It was like, so I did end the night on a high. I feel like in terms of the book. And then Bubble and Squeak. Yeah.
What did you not like about it?
It's funny because in the reviews that I was seeing, like the first impressions, because it had premiered a day or two before, people were comparing it to Wes Anderson a lot. Yeah. So I was already kind of like, oh.
Notoriously, this guy hates Wes Anderson.
Well, hate is a really strong word. Yeah, true. I'm a little bit more kind of indifferent about him. Yeah. And granted, to be fair to Wes Anderson, I have not seen what people consider his best movies. And I feel confident that I would really enjoy Fantastic Mr. Fox, which
I've been
raving
about that for years,
or Royal Tenenbaums, things
Grand
like
Budapest?
that. Grand Budapest. No, I feel like I would enjoy those. But yeah, Bumble and Squeak, real quickly, I'll just read what the description was from the Sundance kind of site. It's accused of smuggling cabbages into a nation where cabbages are banned, Declan and Dolores must confront the fragility of their new marriage while on the run for their lives. So as you can gather from that, it was pretty silly.
Very silly. Imagine a movie where a woman the entire time has like 15 cabbages very noticeably in her pants. The entire movie. That's it. And that's about the tone of the rest of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so for me, the first 30 or so minutes, I was really enjoying myself. I had a great time. I thought it was really funny. It's like bizarre, out there funny and pretty absurd. And you're just in for the ride of what you just got thrown into.
Yeah.
And for me, I just felt like it really lost steam. Like, we saw a couple short film programs, and honestly, I feel like if the story was a short film, I feel like it would have worked more for me.
Like a 20-minute thing, maybe.
But I just felt like they run out of ideas to keep it entertaining beyond just stretching a joke for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So towards the end, I just started feeling a bit like it felt kind of dull. The dialogue wasn't that interesting to me in the latter half of the movie, especially the part that doesn't work for me is the whole marital drama.
So that's the undercurrent, is that they're like trying to deal with like, oh, maybe we're not super compatible with each other and trying to figure that out.
Yeah, or like they're newlywed and they're on their honeymoon in this place where cabbages are outlawed.
Yeah.
And they just are bickering the whole time.
Yeah.
And doing things like that. But I don't feel like they get to any real depth about their relationship or what the issues are.
Because I felt like they kind of understood that they were very like, he's very like type A and she's like very adventurous and free spirit. And I feel like that became more apparent that it's like, oh, they're very different.
Which isn't necessarily a reason to not be able to be in a relationship.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's also like they must have known this already being married.
But, yeah, because they say they moved in together and they like dated for years and stuff like that.
But it just, that to me, they didn't really go anywhere with that.
Yeah.
And it stayed pretty surface level. And the novelty of, oh, cabbages are banned and they have cabbages and they're on the run just got a bit tired. But it had some real fun cameos from people.
Dave Franco.
Even kind of extended cameos. Dave Franco.
That was like a couple scenes.
Had a bit. It was a lot of fun. Stephen Yeun was in it. And he was a lot of fun in the beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it for 30, 40 minutes. And
just, you could have walked out and
I got
that
tired,
was great. For 40 minutes.
But what were your thoughts?
No, I think I liked it more than that. First of all, the Wes Anderson comparisons are very apt. I feel like besides camera, not a lot of camera framing was very Wes Anderson. Like there were a couple shots that were like a little more like, oh, the camera feels very kind of aware of itself in a way. I don't know if that makes any sense. Does that make sense? I don't know. Like it's very like it calls attention to itself, the camera.
Sure.
But not a lot of the traditional kind of Wes Anderson framing. A lot of the delivery, like the line delivery, was very like nonchalant and like Wes Anderson and like quirky. Yeah, I think I could kind of understand how the jokes get old. I still thought they were pretty funny. Like they brought out there's a little side character called Timothée that I thought was very funny. There's a church made of hay at the end that's pretty fantastic. But I don't think it got as old for me. And I think the marital drama was fine. And then I think that they appropriately didn't maybe harp too much on it. Like they stayed on the jokes. They stayed on like being very silly, which is kind of exactly what I wanted from the movie. And I got that. Yeah, it's not anything that I think would leave like a super lasting impression on me, but like I'm glad I saw it. It was very silly, and it was like a fun little movie.
Yeah, it was unique.
It was definitely
never seen
very
anything
unique.
of that premise, so it was interesting in that regard. But probably my least favorite thing that we saw in terms of the three
features that we saw. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. But then the next day we saw the live action short film.
Yeah, and that one was in Park City, which made me kind of grateful, honestly, that we were in Salt Lake City most of the time because Park City was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from LA to this festival, knowing that this is the busiest time of the year for this area, I was shocked at the lack of traffic in Salt Lake City or Park City was busier.
Like,
Salt Lake City was like,
is there a festival?
How many people live here? Yeah. Like and I loved it. And Salt Lake City I thought was so beautiful. You could see mountains everywhere. Park City also very beautiful. Park City, because it's just a smaller place and it's not like a city the way Salt Lake is. There were just more people than you could tell they really planned for.
Yeah, like infrastructure wise, maybe.
Parking was, I think, the worst part of it. But even then, it wasn't like overwhelming when we were walking Main Street, Park City. It was like, oh, there's not a ton of people.
Yeah.
Like as much as I thought there would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, the live action short film program, we saw that at 11:30. And that was nice too because it had a good mix of dramatic and comedy kind of stories.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So why don't we just talk about maybe what our favorite ones were?
Yeah, so there was one called An Almost Successful Dating App Love Story or something like it was something like that. That was probably my favorite. It was like it's essentially about like a girl who visits goes to a guy she like met up with on a dating app, his funeral, and he kind of appears to her as like a ghost or whatever. It's kind of not super clear. That one was pretty fun, pretty funny, pretty heartfelt. And then like the backup was, oh my gosh, I don't remember what it was called, but the one where with Carson, like it's like two best friends and one of them passes away in a car accident. Do you know what Remember what that one was called?
Yes, that was called Such Good Friends.
Such Good Friends. That one was my second, and that was really funny. I really liked that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I agree. I enjoyed An Almost Successful Dating App Love Story, and that one was fun because I recognized a couple of the cast members in it who are like pretty big social media kind of comedians, sketch comedians. One of them,
Do you have the
Caleb
names?
Heron, who's he has a podcast.
Yes.
He's a comedian. He's really funny. So
I didn't even know who that was.
Yeah.
He looked kind of familiar, but I literally was after the screening. I was like, that guy was really funny. Like he should go on and like really do stuff.
Yeah, he's doing that.
He's been popping off, especially.
No, I will say
last few months.
It was good timing because the past couple months he's just been on my feed everywhere, and probably also because I see him and I click on the video and it's like, oh, you want to see more?
Yeah,
so he's really funny. Caitlin Riley was in it as well, who. It was pretty big on TikTok, Instagram.
She looked familiar as
and
well.
she also has started acting more because she was in the final season of High School Musical, the musical, the series.
Okay.
She's the director of the...
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm remembering this face.
Yeah.
But
it's a very distinct face.
So it was fun seeing people I recognized. I think short films... I was expecting going in, which I think is a fair expectation. It's like, these are a lot of newer filmmakers who probably don't have as much budget or resources to make a feature length, but want to, start creating and putting things out there. Yeah. So I wasn't expecting to see anyone I recognized. So it was fun. But yeah, that was a fun story. My favorite of the live action ones was called... We're Not Done Yet.
The last one?
It was the last one we saw. And that, let me see here.
I feel like the closest comp I would say to like a feature that people know is maybe like 20th Century Women, or like one of the, like The Farewell, one of those like really chill A24 movies where it's like, is there a plot? I don't know.
Yeah, I wrote down, well, for Almost Successful Dating Up Love Story, here's what the description of that one is to get an idea. Determined to meet him dead or alive, a curious young woman attends the funeral of a man she matched with on a dating app. So they never actually went on a date.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
They just matched with each other, and she went to his funeral because he died. So that was funny, but we're not done yet. That was Alex visits his newly single mother, Bettina, for a weekend at her getaway beach house. But when he is confronted with her newfound independence, Alex is forced to face his own controlling nature.
That's pretty apt.
Yeah. But I thought the cinematography was beautiful. I thought it was really funny. I loved the chemistry between the actors, the son and Alex and his mom. And yeah, it just felt very like I could sit here with these characters for a longer time. And I just enjoyed their dynamic and kind of the little... things that you could tell he was getting frustrated about. And she's just like crazy kind of free spirit going up to people like, oh, I want to hold your baby, give me your baby. Like,
she's like, no.
But I really did enjoy that. I was a little surprised because it was the last one and we were going through, and there were ones that I was enjoying, but that to me was like the knockout of the group. For me personally,
there was one, I forget what it was called, but it was like about like a key locksmith. Kinda, that one was shot very well, and there was another one called Hippopotami was shot very well. I liked Hippopotami a little more, but the locksmith one I was just kind of confused. I was like, I don't know.
And that's one of those ones. I mean, there were a couple in there that were international, or at least foreign language short films, and I think sometimes with those, especially because a short film lends itself more kind of to a story, the kind of story you tell in a short story, which feels like a lot of short stories can be heavy on metaphor or a certain theme that they're trying to get at. And sometimes I was wondering in those movies if the disconnect for me was like that there's a level of cultural context that I needed to understand some of the symbolism. Because I could tell like there's symbolism happening here.
Yeah,
but I don't know what this means.
On a base level. And I don't know if
it was that or just like I just missed and somebody, the person next to me could have understood what was happening, and I just didn't get it.
Yeah, we're just dumb.
Overall, I thought that short film program was definitely enjoyable.
Mm. Then we saw the standout of the fest, All That's Left of You.
Yeah.
First off, I want to say, I have never watched a movie where so many people have cried at once. Like, everyone in the theater, you could hear sniffing. It was like surround sound.
A symphony of sniffles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I told you, Reese, I literally thought you were sick because of how much you were sniffing, next to me. So consistently.
I was trying so hard. Okay. This movie, let me start just by mentioning the director.
Yeah.
Sharian Dabis. I probably pronounced that wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And just the description that's there in Letterboxd is, after a Palestinian teen confronts Israeli soldiers at a West Bank protest, his mother recounts the series of events that led him to that fateful moment, starting with his grandfather's forced displacement.
Mm.
So it's a story of Israeli-Palestine conflict, told through the lens of a Palestinian family through 3 generations: grandfather, his son, his grandson, and very epic in scope.
Absolutely.
The movie in its entirety spans
80 years. Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
And absolutely. The kind of, because there's a difference between watching a movie and I shed some tears. That was me for Andre is an Idiot. Then there's the kind of movie where I'm the kind of crying that you do with your whole body. You're and I was trying so hard not to do that, because you heard me sniffling, but I was fighting the not over myself, shoulders, doing the, and because it just destroyed me. No. The movie, for me, I will say, you could tell a lot of people in our audience were very emotional, but for me, the theater experience where it was everyone is sobbing was The Whale.
You told me about that.
Which we saw together, and you can attest to, but credits started rolling and the movie got a lot quieter in the theater, and you could just hear everybody was crying loudly. This one didn't feel as loud. It felt like there were people in The Whale, which I was one of those people.
None of that. It was a lot of people kind of keeping it together in our theater. Yeah.
But it was so moving, I think.
Yeah.
And it was really special to be one of the first audiences seeing it, and
the third showing ever.
Yeah, and to have had the director there after with a Q&A.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Which I feel stupid. I should mention this. She also plays the mother, throughout the thing.
She stars in it, and she wrote and directed it.
Yes.
And I'm you're a superwoman, is what you're saying. Because that's crazy.
Yeah.
To me.
Well, so, and I literally throughout, as she came out at the end to do the Q&A, I was like, huh. She looks a lot like the mom. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she just, all of the writing, directing, acting at such an incredible level.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. She, it doesn't feel like one of those, I feel like, I don't know if this is a overgeneralization, but I feel like sometimes when actors or people star in their own movies that they wrote and directed, sometimes the directing can be a little flat and not super idiosyncratic. I feel like it's maybe they focus the visual palette is kind of not as, I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? Maybe.
Well, I just think I understand what you're saying, because I think I would imagine it's very difficult to be in a movie from 2 kind of different mindsets.
Yeah.
Of I'm in this and I'm putting myself into a character.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking outside of the movie about larger scale. Where are we going with things? How are we arranging it together? I just imagine it'd be hard to focus on both in a way where you're at 100, operating at 100% on both levels.
So Jake Johnson made a movie last year called Self-Reliance, which I quite liked. I thought it was pretty underrated, actually. But the visual kind of like language of it wasn't necessarily like super high. And he kind of starred in that as well as like directing and producing it. That's like an example. But everything, again, like you said, was at such a high level in this one.
I think it's also a difference too if you are an actor and then you take kind of a step into directing and you're acting in it from that angle. But she is first and foremost, I think, a writer and a director.
Yeah.
So I think that also probably lends itself differently to the relationship of that.
But yeah, and it just like such an emotional, like without feeling manipulative. I think sometimes I'm like, guys, come on. Like for one of these like dramatic, very dramatic movies, it's like it feels like overbearing at times.
Like almost your mission is to make me feel this thing rather than to tell a really compelling story, kind of.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm maybe being manipulated or they're trying to get me there, and maybe that makes me draw back a little bit. Like maybe it's just that it's settled into that, but like, no, it didn't feel like it was like really going for emotional gut punching stuff, and then and then you're there, and then I'm crying, and like, and not just like a single tear or like my eyes are a little wet. Like it's just like I'm actually crying. And it brought me there.
And the material and the real life events is based off of just lends itself to it is just heartbreaking and it's tragic. And I think war always is that way.
Yeah.
And the Q&A after was really wonderful. People were asking such great questions. And I think one that I keep thinking about is somebody kind of commented in their lead up to their question about how familiar we are in the United States with stories of Israel and the Holocaust, and we're very familiar with those events, and we're not familiar really at all. We don't learn Palestinian history or stories.
If you're not Palestinian,
right? Like that's just not something in the U.S. that we're as familiar with, and so I think this is probably the first time I've seen a movie or was like really thrown into a story where I got to see things from that perspective and get an understanding of what the conflicts between Palestine and Israel has been like for Palestinians.
Yeah. I should also say they don't like dig into the present day or the ceasefire just happened, but they don't dig into that at all, really.
That was another really interesting point I thought in the Q&A was because they had started filming and basically the film was written, they were prepping it and planning the shoot, and then had to relocate and delay their shooting because the conflicts broke out in the West Bank.
Yeah.
And that was interesting to hear just how much the production of the movie went through, where it ended up being like 11 months of shooting, but only actual 55 days of shooting over the course of a year because of how many obstacles there were of the current conflicts. Like when they relocated their set, they had to, kind of reproduce it for the new place they were going to be shooting in. They had to recast some roles because actors that were over here are not over here, so it's amazing that it got made. And she was asked if she, given those events, revisited the script and altered anything.
Yeah.
And she said she didn't change anything because she realized that the story that she was telling already was timeless.
And that's what we said after, like, even like talking about the movie. Like, it does feel like you don't feel like you're being preached to, because it's like, it's not like, and this conflict, and it, like, I feel like sometimes, again, it's the same thing with like emotional manipulation. It just feels like you kind of draw back, and like you kind of like now evaluate it from like a cultural or like a political perspective of like today, and you just kind of feel like you're being told something. I really like In the Heights, but I feel like some of the stuff in that movie, like, it deals with like current politics, and for whatever reason, that just like any political like stance that you take, I feel like when it's being put into movies and it's very direct and political, sometimes I'm just like, oh, this kind of takes me out of the movie, and I don't know if I like it. But it just does feel like a very timeless story about like Palestinian people through this one family.
Yeah, and I appreciated too, like you said, it didn't feel like the movie necessarily had an agenda or was propaganda, other than like just wanted to be like, see us, hear us, like this is, and it was so moving. The acting, I mean, the acting was unbelievable. I thought it was shot so beautifully. The scale of the story and the direction it went, how it wove in the different generations of things, it felt seamless. The transitions, and I can't wait for it to get picked up and come out this year so I can see it again and take everyone I know with me and make them watch it. It just felt like one of those stories that matters a lot now, even though it's not about the things that are happening now, but just matters. And it made me to think about, like, you see movies like that make you aware of different tragedies that are going on in the world or different things that are happening. And I feel like I wrestle all the time with, how do you choose which causes you take up in a way? Because I think, I see movies like this and I think about, you can only care and know and act on so many things that are happening. Like, there's 1,000 things going on in the world that you can choose to be passionate about and want to advocate for and take up a cause, whether it's a climate crisis, whether it's, what's going on in Palestine, whether it's, even Armenian genocide. I mean, there's been so many genocides throughout history. There's been so many, and even locally, you think with LA, all of the fires that are going on and everything, it's like, you can't
run out of causes.
Well, yeah, but you also can't help them all, or solve them all. Like, you individually, we only have the capacity to do so much. And
so do nothing. You don't have to worry about any of it.
And that's the thing I wonder is, like, when you see things like this and you become aware. There's a book I read last year by an author, Amani Perry. I read, it's called Breathe, A Letter to My Sons, and it's about her experience being Black in America, raising Black sons in America. And there was a line in there that has stuck with me since I read it. She said that, actually, I wrote it down so I can remember, but she said, awareness is not a virtue in and of itself, not without a moral imperative. And that's the kind of thing where I feel like, okay, what does that mean for me to, like, because you can be aware of something and, like, choose to ignore it or, like, not be affected by it, or like, you can be, or you can be aware and, like, but that's the thing, is, like, what am I supposed to do with my awareness, kind of, that makes it virtuous or something? Not for the sake of being virtuous, but for, like, I want to respond in a helpful way to this. And I think the sentiment that I felt like was important to the creator of the movie was, like, I just want people to see this story and see the shared humanity that we have, which I felt like was
she said that
what the
right?
movie was so successful in doing. I think is, it wasn't even like a film that was just about being angry at Israel or anything like that.
Absolutely
it was
not.
Very much, it was filled with so much compassion, humanity, and watching it, I know, okay, our lives are very different, but I saw so much of what connects us. Different, things that I could see that I shared with the characters, and felt like, is just talking about it, getting other people to watch it, is that more than awareness? Is that enough? Is that, and that's the kind of thing I wonder with a movie like that speaks on something that feels so important, so relevant to suffering that's going on right now. It's like, how do I do anything? And is being aware enough, kind of, but I don't even know what
to do about it. It did seem like, because she literally, like, real quick, and then we should probably get on to the next program that we saw, but it did see, because there was literally someone in the Q&A that asked, like, a lot of movies promote you to action. What do you want us to do with this? And she was literally like, I just want people to be aware and people to know about these stories. More than, like, be like, go and, do this political action or whatever. So I don't know. But yeah, we should probably move on. That was freaking standout movie. If you are okay being an emotional wreck in the theater, go watch this because it was amazing.
Definitely keep your eye out for it for sure this year.
Yeah, because I was also part of the fest. Like a couple of the Q&As, people were like, "How are we gonna able to tell our friends about it? How can they access this movie?" And they're like, "Well, we don't know right now because we're shopping around the movie." And like that's literally what Sundance is kind of for.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of them were like, "We don't know yet. Follow. I don't know." Yeah.
Yeah, I think that absolutely will get picked up by somebody though.
Yeah. Oh,
I could definitely I could see it being a contender at awards next year for sure.
Yeah.
Like at least in international, film
if
like
best
sections,
picture.
but hopefully more than that because I really think it's amazing.
Yeah. Really good movie. Anyway, next one. This is the animated shorts program, which I was telling you. So at the hostel we stayed at, I was chatting with this woman who was like, oh, she had been to the fest before. She was like, yeah, those short films, they get weird. And I was just like, they're probably not that weird. And the live action shorts especially were not. They were pretty
I know. It's like I've seen a lot of things. I don't know if it can get weirder.
Yeah. The animated short, I don't even think you thought this as much, but they were funky. Like they got strange. The animated shorts did.
Yeah, I mean, I think with animation as a medium, you have the ability to do. You feel less limited than you would in live action with what you can create visually and the kind of story you can tell. So I think I was expecting, and especially I feel like having seen more animation outside just the US, which US feels like animation is cartoons and it's for kids or things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas the kind of stories you see, especially with anime or things like that, you just feel like you can see anything,
Yeah.
So I feel like I've been exposed to kind of more out there ideas in animation, but some of the short films, I mean, I wouldn't say I was necessarily like so thrown by some things, but there were some that were very kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Creative, yeah.
Even the first one was like, how would you even describe the plot of the first one?
I don't even remember what was the first one.
It was the
flower show.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one, I actually enjoyed that one.
I'm not even saying it's bad.
It was cool to me, the animated short film program, because the animation styles were very different across. I don't know if there was any two that felt like had a similar style of animation or approach, which I thought was really cool about.
There's a stop motion one, yeah.
But I will say, in general, I didn't really particularly enjoy them the way I did the live action program.
Yeah,
even.
same. Yeah.
And I don't even necessarily know what it was. I mean, there were some that I liked and resonated with, and again, it kind of spanned across more like emotional or dramatic stories and more kind of fun out there ones.
Yeah. There was a plaque one that almost felt like an educational video. It was about like plaque in your teeth, but like personified.
Oh yeah,
that was the idea, right?
That one was, that was crazy.
That was just goofy. Yeah, but it was weird, definitely. Yeah.
And that was the one you liked the most.
It was.
Yeah. I'm trying to compare because I know that animation style I've seen somewhere before.
Yeah, it's almost like the Bible Project. Like it kind of gives that vibe a little bit.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know if any of you grew up watching. Is it Schoolhouse Rock that I'm thinking of? Let me see.
I'm just a Bill. That one.
Yeah, but like they have. Yeah, so there's different animation things that they do in that, and I feel like some of them.
They gave Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah, well, that one.
Or that gave Schoolhouse Rock.
Gave a little bit.
Yeah.
Or I'm trying to. I know in my head I've seen animation done like that before, and I'm trying to think where.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that one made me kind of uneasy a little bit. I don't know why.
I thought that one was the most like lighthearted.
Which to you was like, this is comfy. This
is it was the most light. Like they do nonsense talk. Like they don't speak words. Like they just like it's I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah, but it was cool because it was kind of like, oh, there's people in your teeth doing like cave art on your teeth, and that's
I could see how that would make
you.
I could see how that make you uneasy. Yeah,
I think it was just the animation style and the kind of like cartoon adult talking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, I don't know. But
you didn't like that.
The one I liked the most, there were a couple that I liked in the animated short one. There was one about like the missing persons crisis, and it might have been Mexico.
Yeah.
About girls and women that I thought was really well done. And I had a lot of fun with the last animated short, which was the main character is this pig.
It's like a pig man.
Guy. Yeah, he's a guy and a pig.
Yeah.
And he's the only animal like person character in the short. And he kind of has a crush on this bartender, or she has like a bar truck kind of serving alcohol out of a truck. Yeah. And he goes on this quest to try and get her another keg of beer or something. And there's like running through the city, gets into all kinds of shenanigans. Yeah. It's kind of actiony, kind of. Yeah. And it was all black and white too. But I thought that one was entertaining. But overall, though, it also was, that short film program started at 10 p.m.
Oh my gosh, I was dozing
off. After All That's Left of You, I'm like, I have nothing left in me. It's like when you cry hard, you're just like, I need to sleep.
Well, so that was literally like, my eyes just felt tired. Like, it was literally like the Q&A at All That's Left of You. I remember telling you, like, people were asking questions. I was just like staring at the floor, like, I need to get out of here. Like, I can't be around these people anymore. I'm so like, just so much crying.
Just emotionally drained.
Yeah.
And so I think if I had more energy and I was more awake, I could have like gotten on the wave of some of the shorts more, because some of them were very like electric, fast paced, like crazy colors. Yeah. And I appreciate how inventive they all felt. I don't know if I felt as necessarily connected to.
That's fair. It was probably my least favorite program in the fest. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was great. Like, after watching All That's Left of You, I was like, I could have just seen this and drove 10 hours and spent all the money that I did and seen this in this audience with the Q&A.
With the director,
and it would have felt worth it.
Yeah,
like, that made the trip to me, like, I'm so glad it became,
Yeah. No, it was, I remember, I think I told you that, like, it might have been, like that might have been worth it just for that. But, and then we also got to see other, like, cool movies, some more lighthearted stuff. But, all in all, and then we headed back the next day. And just like a really good, like, chill trip. Like, we didn't really do too much.
I'm glad we didn't pack it like back to back to back to back movies. Because I felt like we got to get a feel for the area and see Salt Lake City. And appreciate it. Was just so beautiful outside. Yeah. I'm glad that we weren't just cooped up inside the whole time either. Yeah. So, I thought it was a great experience. That's an amazing location to have a festival like that. Yeah. And it was really cool just to be, I feel like there's not a lot of settings these days where you're in a place and you're surrounded by a bunch of people who are interested in some of the same things as you and who have a passion for movies. And we got to have cool conversations just chatting with people online for things. And felt like it just felt good to be somewhere where everyone's in good spirits and excited about the movies that are coming out and wanting to talk about what they saw and recommending things to other people. So it's definitely a cool experience.
Yeah, that was like one of the other fun things is that you were surrounded by like film lovers, and like you could literally just like, there was like a couple having a conversation and he mentioned like something twin, and I was like, oh, I'm a twin, and he was like, oh really, I'm a twin too, and then we just like started talking. Like that doesn't really, I feel like if you just did that at the grocery store, be like, ew, why are you talking to me? Like, stop this.
I don't know. I think it depends on where you live too, because I mean that's one of the things living in a city like LA, where I'm sure there's areas of LA that feel more like communal, like people know their neighbors and greet their. Growing up, that's something I like. You can go knock on your neighbor's door and ask for eggs because you ran out or something or things like that, and it just kind of felt like that vibe again, where you could just talk to a stranger and like people were more open for conversation in that setting, which is something that I wish there was more. But I also feel like just the way things have shifted to where we're such an online culture too, especially people our age. I feel like people probably are more open to that, but we're all a little bit more closed off. In a way,
not
because
ready.
of that. But I don't know, but it was definitely fun.
Yeah. Just a good fest vibe. A lot of good movies. I think we can lock in and safely say if you're going to see one of these, it's going to be all that's left of you.
I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about maybe any that we didn't see that you're particularly excited for this year.
Yeah. So we were actually right before we recorded this, we really wanted to see one called Sorry Baby that got a lot of good reviews. And by the time I went to they had online screeners that I was gonna go and buy and then we would watch it. But by the time I actually went to purchase it, it was sold out. Which
I didn't realize that online screeners would sell out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I thought this was just for anybody.
Yeah, they like making less money, I guess. Yeah. No, but yeah, it's I'm very excited about that. Opus, we were talking about seeing Opus with Io Debris.
Yeah.
But that one was getting
very mixed reviews.
That one was getting mixed reviews anyway, and it's also coming out in March. So we were we're not gonna.
But and the trailer for that just came out too. I don't know if you saw the trailer. I didn't really like the trailer. I'm kind of bummed because I'm Io Debris.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah.
And I just don't know if I don't know if I'll watch it when it's in the theater anyway. We'll see.
We'll see. It's same. Yeah.
Sorry, Baby.
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 Sorry, Baby. I definitely am excited for that too.
Yeah.
That's got some really quality actors in it. Naomi Ackie, who's just in the Whitney Houston movie.
Lucas Hedges.
Lucas Hedges, who I feel like I haven't seen in a minute.
He kind of disappeared after mid-90s.
Because there was a year or two where I'm like, sir, how did you have time to be in everything?
It was Lady Bird and Manchester by the Sea, mid-90s. It was that time.
And multiple. Yeah, there were other things. 3 Billboards.
Boy Erased. He was in 3 Billboards.
Yeah. I'm you're here again.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because, well, I guess Boy Erased would have been his one where he's you're kind of the lead here. You're taking over. But yeah, so he's back in that, or if he's been around and I just didn't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I am excited for that. I'm really excited for.
Gives a Lady Bird vibe. This one, which I'm really excited for. Yeah.
I'm really excited for Oh Hi, which is
a
rom-com with a twist, I guess, and it's Logan Lerman and Molly Gordon, and I'm Logan Lerman, Molly Gordon rom-com.
Yeah.
That sounds like the greatest thing I've ever heard to me. So
yeah,
I'm very excited for that. This year, I'm excited for Twinless.
You were really wanting to see Twinless, and it's sold out. Yeah.
Which is Dylan O'Brien is in it. I don't know the name of the other actor, but it's Dylan O'Brien is a twin in the movie, and the premise is he loses his twin, and goes to a twin bereavement group.
Yeah.
And connects with someone else there, and they start some kind of friendship as they're navigating that loss. So
yeah,
I think it's supposed to be a bit of a comedy as well, kind of a dramedy, but
yeah,
that the concept just sounded really interesting. It's gotten good reviews. Trying to think what else. There's a movie that I was really interested in that has also gotten mixed reviews, but the premise alone just makes me interested. It's called By Design.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the one about the woman who switches bodies with a chair, and then people like her better as a chair.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I just just seems so crazy.
Yeah.
I want to see what that's about.
What? Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like Omaha, another one, Jean Majaro starring in that, who's supposed to be amazing. That's gotten great reviews.
Yeah.
It's a drama as well. Supposed to be very sad. I love a sad movie. Make me cry.
This about you.
I'd love to do that. So I'm looking forward to that one. Jean Majaro, I really fell in love with from Past Lives.
He's that guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's kind of more so Greta Lee. I feel like I'll see anything Greta Lee is in now just because of Past Lives. Yeah.
But he was also in season 1 of The Umbrella Academy, which I really enjoyed him in.
I hated him. That character
was
his
such character,
exactly.
Yeah.
He was such
but he was great. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him in that and him getting a good lead opportunity. Yeah, it felt like there were many movies that people seem to be really enjoying at the festival. So it seems like it was a good one this year. And I'm definitely interested to see kind of which one breaks out into kind of Oscars conversation, one that really like everyone's falling in love with.
Yeah.
Because it seems like there's always one of those from the festival. So
yeah, it's interesting. Maybe Sorry Baby? I don't know.
I mean, I'm hoping it's All That's Left of You.
Yeah,
we'll
hopefully.
See.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's too sad. I don't know.
Too sad for the Oscars. I mean, I don't know.
Fair. Yeah. Cool. Do we want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say.
Go see these movies when they come out, except maybe Bubble and Squeak per Reese.
I mean, hey, some people really. There was an older woman sitting in front of us who was cracking up, like eating up every joke, losing it, and that to me made me still have fun even when I
it's kind of wholesome.
So some people, that's gonna be your vibe. It's like it's goofy, it's very lighthearted for sure.
Absolutely.
Very unserious movie.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening. If you are on YouTube, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and leave a comment like if you've heard of any of these movies or like which ones you're most excited to. We do absolutely love reading the comments. If you're on Apple or Spotify, be sure to give us a follow there for any upcoming stuff. And anything else to add?
Be ready for A24 Part 3, I guess. I
don't
know.
Yes.
Whenever we record that one.
Yeah, in about 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we got a couple coming up with Aaron that we're planning that are going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to those. Thanks for listening, guys.